Hello everyone, my name is Gregory. Welcome to another episode of Armored Critic. Tonight I'm going to review Captain America Civil War. Now you've probably already seen a review of this already. This movie was out like a whole week longer in other regions than it was here. It's not really fair. What's even the fucking point? Asshole! So this movie is technically the third installment in the Captain America series, but it's not really a Captain America movie, it's more of an Avengers movie. I get that the point of this movie is it's supposed to be Captain America's personal struggle, right? I mean, it is a Captain America movie. But Tony Stark plays a much more important role in this movie than Steve Rogers does.
This job. We try to save as many people as we can. Sometimes that doesn't mean everybody. But you don't give up.
Now, is this a good movie? Yeah, on like a technical level. There's not much really wrong with the film. I realize I'm sounding not very enthusiastic about that, but the fact that there's not much wrong with this film makes it less interesting. It's a story about Captain America not wanting to fall in line with an organization and Tony Stark wanting very much to fall in line with this organization. And that's essentially what the Civil War is about. In the comics, the Civil War is about superhero registration. They don't talk about anything like that in this movie. What they talk about is whether or not the Avengers should be allowed to operate on their own. And I think anybody with half a brain could tell that they shouldn't be allowed to operate completely on their own. But the idea that the UN should run them and that it should be a subcommittee of the UN that passes legislation about whether or not heroes should be allowed to act in every single situation, it's ridiculous. Like, first of all, if anybody you know anything about the UN, you know that it's not really a world power. It's more like a club of countries that are willing to discuss things with each other. The UN doesn't really control the planet the way people think that they do. On top of that, they don't really meet that often. The UN has different organizations around the world. One's in New York, and the one that they go to is in Geneva, Switzerland. The idea that like an alien might attack and that this subcommittee would have to get together and decide whether or not the Avengers are going to do something about it, that would take forever. It would take like a day or two just to get them all in the same room with each other. So Tony Stark's motivation, I think, is set up pretty well. Some people didn't get it. Some people didn't agree that it wasn't set up that well. But if you remember Iron Man 3 and Age of Ultron, Avengers 2, you remember that Tony Stark was emotionally distraught. He was having a complete emotional breakdown in Iron Man 3. That was kind of the whole focus of Iron Man 3, is that he couldn't really handle the whole superhero gig. It was simple enough when all he was doing was just blowing up weapons caches of people that illegally bought his weapons, but when he actually had to like fight aliens and he was seeing real people dying around him and he was dealing with things that he never even thought were real, like magic and aliens and all this shit. He couldn't handle it. It was too much for him. And in Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, Tony Stark tries to quench his moral dilemma by creating Ultron, who's supposed to be the only superhero the world needs to fix all of its problems. Tony Stark's creation ends up only making things worse. Now, you can imagine what that does to a person's psyche, what that would do to somebody if they were trying to fix a moral dilemma in themselves and they only ended up making the world worse. And people ended up dying because of something he did. I can imagine that it would only make him even more distraught. At the beginning of this movie, essentially, somebody from the US government comes to the Avengers and shows them a bunch of footage from all the other movies and says, oh, look at all these people that died because of you.
New York. Washington, D.C. Sokovia.
Okay, that's enough.
Captain, people are afraid.
The Avengers shouldn't be allowed to operate on their own. And obviously they shouldn't. But it's not like they've been operating on their own for that long. They've only really been operating on their own since the end of Captain America 2 Winter Soldier, when S.H.I.E.L.D. turned out to be infiltrated by Hydra. Before that, S.H.I.E.L.D. ran them. S.H.I.E.L.D. was run by a committee as well, so it's not like they didn't have oversight. All of a sudden, they don't have oversight for like 2 movies, and they're like, oh, look at all these things you did. And they're showing the Avengers things that happened when they were being run by S.H.I.E.L.D., as if they were in any way responsible for making the wrong decision when they were following orders. So Tony Stark is distraught because people died in Sokovia, where the big city crashed into the earth. Obviously lots of people died there, and I'm sure Tony Stark would have been extremely distraught about this. And when that happened, Tony Stark was not following orders. He was essentially running the Avengers himself. You could see him saying, oh yeah, you're right, we need oversight. We need a committee, or we need some sort of governing body that tells us if we are or are not allowed to do things.
That's why I'm here. We need to be put in check. Whatever form that takes, I'm game.
The idea that they should have complete agency over the entire planet is ridiculous. Now, obviously, in certain situations, they're just gonna have to act on their own instincts. The opening action scene of this movie, Captain America's leading a team of Avengers into some African city. They're trying to stop Hydra members from stealing some vial of whatever, I don't even remember, it's not important. Point is, as they're trying to stop him, Scarlet Witch accidentally kills a bunch of people in the process of saving even more people. So it's not like more people died because of her. Less people died, she just wasn't capable of stopping an explosion from happening. Steve Rogers, Captain America, it's not quite as clear why he chose the side he chose. Bucky comes back into the picture. I mean, Winter Soldier's now in 2 movies. I don't really find him that interesting a character, to be honest, but I can see why people like him.
I'm sorry, Tony. If I see a situation pointed south, I can't ignore it. Sometimes I wish I could.
Sometimes I want to punch you in your perfect teeth.
I know we're not perfect. But the safest hands are still our own.
It is his best friend, right? But before the Winter Soldier's in the picture, Steve Rogers has already chosen the no, we don't need oversight side. Why? He's a soldier, he's used to taking orders. And I'm sure that he might be a little apprehensive about the idea, considering the last organization that he followed turned out to be infiltrated by the enemy, and that he had been taking orders from people that he was actively fighting. But he never says that. He just thinks that he's above the law. And then when Bucky Barnes shows up and he has to defend his friend, I guess that part makes sense, but Tony Stark refuses to hear him out?
This doesn't have to end in a fight, Tony.
You just started a war. Stay down. Final warning.
I could do this all day.
The first 2 acts of this film are much, much stronger than the 3rd act. Everything leading up to the big climactic fight scene at the airport and that fight scene itself are pretty well done, pretty interesting, pretty fun. I mean, there's too many characters. Like, we still suffer from the clusterfuck problem from Age of Ultron, but it's a little less clusterfucky. I think Marvel did a good job of reining in the clusterfuck a bit. But we've still got too many characters and not enough time to set up all of their motivations. Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, shows up for that one fight scene at the airport, and that's the only scene he's in. And it's neat to see him fight against other Avengers, but I don't understand why he would get involved in the fight, considering especially that he's not even an Avenger, let alone a real superhero. He's kind of more like a thief. And then Spider-Man shows up for a couple scenes as well. Marissa Tomei, looking as hot as ever. She's his aunt. She's Aunt May. This is the best Peter Parker I've seen. Part of the problem with Tobey Maguire was that Tobey was a really good Peter, but he was a shit Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a really good Spider-Man, but an absolute shit Peter. And now we've got a kid who is a really good both. And I love that they skipped doing any kind of real exposition about how Spider-Man became Spider-Man. He's fun, he's very fun. And I like that he's a kid, because Spider-Man's supposed to start off in high school. He's supposed to be like a young high school kid, fighting big adults like Rhino and Doc Ock and stuff, and he's supposed to be outmatched by these people. And Tobey Maguire just looked too old to be a high school kid, even in the first movie when he's supposed to be in high school. Enough about Spider-Man, because he doesn't even belong in this movie. It's neat that he's in the movie, but I don't know, he doesn't need to be. Ant-Man doesn't need to be in this movie either. Part of the problem with that big fight scene at the airport, though, is that why are all of the heroes so willing to fight each other instead of talk to each other? So like all those little minor problems aside though, there aren't any real big movie ruining flaws. There's technically, this movie is very well done. The pace is good. And I went to the theater with a friend and he said this is his new favorite superhero movie. I gotta say that I enjoyed my time in the theater, but I wasn't ever excited about any of the stuff I saw. I wasn't excited about the Winter Soldier being featured again, and I wasn't excited during most of the fight scenes and the action scenes. I wasn't excited during the big climactic fight. I wouldn't say I was bored, but part of the problem is just that I'm so done with superhero movies, I think. I think the whole genre has kind of just been overplayed. Batman vs. Superman almost completely destroyed my enjoyment of superhero movies, and I realize that's not fair because that's a completely different movie universe, but just to see punching and kicking and laser shooting for the sake of that, it's been done, I've seen it. If I want to see that, I'll just watch Avengers, or even Captain America 2, or Iron Man 1. They're all much superior to this film. Like, I realize it's not fair that I say that I didn't love this movie when there isn't really any real problems with it. Everything was done by the books. And maybe that's kind of the problem. Maybe the Marvel formula is just getting tired, because it fits the same formula as any other superhero movie done by Marvel Studios. Has the same tone, has the same characters, has the same pace, and that's been done. We've seen this movie enough times. We've seen this movie. The only difference is there's not really a super villain in this film. There's just some guy who lost his family and wants to see the Avengers fall apart. And that's what happens, but it's not even really because of him. The whole Civil War starts because they can't agree on whether or not they should have oversight from some sort of government body. They're not even disagreeing about the thing that he's doing. He wants everybody to hate the Winter Soldier and to hate Captain America because of that. But he wasn't like one of those pulling the strings from behind the scenes kind of villains. It was just an unfortunate coincidence that the Civil War happened at the same time that he seemed to come along. Like, he didn't really have anything to do with it.
I was wrong about you. The whole world was wrong about you.
It was nice to see Robert Downey Jr. taking the mantle of Iron Man again, though. I mean, I still love Iron Man. Iron Man 1 remains the best movie of the entire series. And with Captain America Winter Soldier taking a very distant second place to that. With Avengers 1 taking third place to that. I just watched The Winter Soldier again to kind of compare. And some of my opinions that I've expressed here are partially because I recognize that Winter Soldier is a far superior film to Civil War. Black Panther is neat, I guess. I never really cared about the character much, but a lot of people seem to like him. He's not in any of the comics I have. I've only ever seen him before in one of the old animated movies. I think it was Avengers 2, the animated movie. They go to Wakanda and like aliens attack. The same fucking aliens. Aliens attacking is such a fucking cop-out. Oh, we can't think of like a world threat that can affect the entire world that won't offend some country somewhere that won't buy tickets to our movie. So, oh, it's aliens. We're allowed to be racist against aliens.
All right, I've run out of patience. On to roost!
Hey everyone.
Do I recommend this movie? If you are not tired of superhero movies yet, you still have fun with them. If you want to feel the same kind of fun that you got from Avengers 1, it is a little bit more like the first Avengers movie. But if you're like me and you're just starting to lose complete interest in Marvel's tight-knit format that they never deviate from anymore, then this movie is not going to reinvigorate your love for the superhero movie genre. Deadpool reinvigorated my love for the genre. Of course, you have to compare this now to Batman vs. Superman, because it's essentially the same thing. Superheroes fighting each other with no real clear villain behind the scenes pulling the strings. At least not in a way that's actually properly affecting the motivation, more just affecting the plot. Marvel doesn't fall into the trap that Snyder made, where he just makes this loose plot to justify having two heroes punch each other. The plot does drive the motivation, and it is far superior. Obviously, if you liked Batman vs. Superman, then you'll love this movie. By the way, have you guys seen any of the comments on my Batman vs. Superman review? The fanboys went fucking ballistic. They are so upset. It's funny to see people say things like, well, if you didn't like the movie, you shouldn't have reviewed it. Well, if you did like the movie, then you shouldn't have watched a review saying it was bad then. That's your fucking logic. Don't watch things that make you upset. Stop watching my reviews if they make you upset. I'm gonna get clear, I'm biased here. But even right at the beginning, when the trailer for this movie dropped, I groaned immediately. It's not that I thought that the movie would be bad. Like, I knew the movie would be good, and the movie is good. It's well done. Just, I don't know, like, I feel like I need a break. I think they come out with a new superhero movie. Like, Marvel comes out with a new movie every, like, 6 months now, or even more often than that. I need a break from them. I need a break. You're not gonna fully understand what happened in this movie unless you watch the first two Captain America movies, and, like, obviously. But that's just how comic books work. You know, Marvel's clearly using the comic book logic with this serial. They want to make sure that you see them all so you understand everything that happens. And that's like an old comic book trick. You can't just pick the trade package up for Avengers versus X-Men without picking up a couple of the copies of the X-Men and the X-Force and whatever, because they extrapolate the story a little bit, because every once in a while you'll be flipping through the trade package and you'll be like, why did that happen? And you don't know unless you've read the X-Men story as well. It's just an old comic book trick. It works well for this cinematic universe, to be honest. It's a good business strategy, you know, you can't really complain about it. It's hard to come down on Marvel because they didn't really do anything wrong. It's just that I knew that this would happen. I knew that eventually everybody would start getting tired, and I'm probably the first one to get tired, so it's not really fair for me to say, but I think everyone's gonna get a little bit tired of the formula. We need to see them break it up a bit. Deadpool made me realize just how little Disney and Sony and Fox are willing to deviate from their formulas. I think we got another X-Men movie coming out. I'm not excited about that either, which is weird. I know, because the last one, Days of Future Past, was really well done. I actually really liked it, probably because the whole city didn't get destroyed in that movie, and the character motivations made sense, and it was fun and exciting. But then Age of Apocalypse, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, I don't fucking care.
They're coming for you.
I'm not the one that needs to watch their back.
I don't even know how to quantify a rating for this. It's good, but it's nothing that we've never seen before. You get to see a different variety of heroes playing with each other and fighting each other than we've seen before. And I guess if you really like Black Panther and you wanted to see Black Panther punch Ant-Man and Spider-Man flying around and fighting Captain America, and you want to see Iron Man trying to straight up murder people. I'm not hating on this movie because I want to hate it. I'm just telling you my honest reaction to what I saw. Right from the very beginning, right from when the first trailer dropped, I was already not excited. I went into this movie feeling bored of the genre. and I left the theater not having felt like I wasted my time. I don't know, I wanted more out of the movie than I got. The length was good, the soundtrack was good, the acting was good, the action scenes were spectacularly well done for a clusterfuck movie. I don't know. Like, I'm not, if you liked it, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with your opinion. I'm saying it was a good movie. You have every right to like the movie. Like, I feel like I'm not being clear. Am I being clear? Am I being clear? Like, am I saying what I'm saying makes sense to you? What am I supposed? I don't know what to do with this movie. I wanted to like it, and I just was not overwhelmed by it. I was quite underwhelmed by it. Or maybe I was just regular whelmed. I will give it this much though. Some of the problems that we saw in Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, they clearly listened to their audience because they kind of fixed those problems. It's still kind of an advertisement for upcoming movies. We still see very little exposition about where Black Panther came from, and we see very little exposition about where Spider-Man came from. They almost play those characters off like they know that you want to see more about them. So they know that they're just giving you enough to tease those characters so that when they come out with their standalone movies that you're gonna go and want to see them. And to be honest, I do want to see the new Spider-Man movie. It's been like 20 fucking years since we've had a good Spider-Man movie. Do him right with his hot aunt. I'll see that movie. This is part of the problem with setting up your universe years in advance. We knew this movie was going to be made before it was even in production. They hadn't even started Age of Ultron before they told us that this movie was going to exist. So they've already kind of written the entire outline for upcoming movies. And the problem with that is that to keep audiences excited about upcoming movies is you have to offer them things that they haven't had before. And the Avengers universe is just, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. It's not that these characters are being done an injustice in any way. And it's not even that the movies are bad, it's just that I want something new. I want something to break it up. We don't need rated R movies like Deadpool, but we need what Deadpool did. We need something to just shake it up, you know? Make us laugh about the universe. I want something I want something new. Please give me something new. And no more movies about the Winter Soldier, please. The Captain America isn't that interesting a character to me, probably mainly because I'm Canadian, but I don't really care too much about him, especially about his issues about his friend. Like, I thought that we had resolved that shit in the last Captain America movie, and then this movie ends with the shit still not resolved. If the next Captain America movie is about fucking Winter Soldier, I'm gonna be really upset. If you are gonna see this movie, don't see it in 3D. For the first time, I went to IMAX theater. I haven't seen a real Hollywood movie in IMAX before. This was the first time. And I was really impressed with the experience. We went to the 2D show and it was really, really good. I know lots of people like 3D, and it does add kind of a neat dimension to the movie, but I'm not even remotely interested in 3D. There was 2 movies that did it right. How to Train Your Dragon, and then the other one. It exists. Hopefully I remember what it is by the time I put these graphics up on the screen. Anyways, let me know what you think below. I'm sure a lot of you disagree with me. Probably not as many people as disagreed with me with Batman vs. Superman. If you have any questions, you can direct them to my ass.
Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw and you'd like to see more Armored Skeptic, please subscribe. If you absolutely love me, you can support me on Patreon. Or if you have a passing affection for me, you can buy my t-shirt. Links in the description.
It's funny, I was actually telling June the other day that she reminds me a lot of Marissa Tomei, and that's why I think she's so attractive. And then it's a nice little surprise to see her up on the big screen again, because it's been a while, you know? She doesn't play a witch. So, fuck you, Hollywood, and your age 30 rule.